Introducing strategic pricing. This is a concept that Bob Watson, the global director of HSF training, and I have worked on, and we're presenting, okay? In terms of a strategic pricing strategy, let's take a look at the word strategic. We don't approach pricing in the most strategic ways for this reason, because we don't ask the following questions. Question number one, what percentage of realtors, when it comes to their own personal residence, do you think overprice their home? 99%, okay? That's the lowest percentage I've heard. I used to hear 100, okay? So you're more conservative and more, okay, I like that. More circumspect, that's good. It was only 99%. Okay, what percentage of realtors have access to all of the data? 100%. So what does that tell you about the value of the data? It's absolutely worthless. It's absolutely worthless when it's introduced at the wrong time. It's invaluable when it's introduced at the right time. Okay, and we're going to tell the difference. What percentage of homeowners do you think before you arrive have a price in mind? 100%. Everybody. So what does that tell us? That tells us that we have to be very strategic to respond to these three major thoughts. Okay. The industry hasn't been strategic. We've been utterly clumsy and sophomoric and amateurish, because here's how the entire industry has been trained to handle price. Well, folks, I went into the computer, okay, in this column here, these are days in the market. No, this is homes in the market. This would be your competition. Now, I'm saying this mockingly. Some people think, oh, that sounds pretty good. It doesn't. This column here, these are homes on the market right now. That would be your competition. This home here, this column here, this is days in the market. This column here is absorption rate. This column here is homes that didn't sell. We call these expired listings. As if somebody can say, honey, I'm going to the cemetery, I'm digging up some expired listings tonight. Okay. This column here is expired listings, okay? And this column here is some macro and microeconomics. Would you agree with me that the industry has basically been trained to make a data-driven presentation? Yes. That's the single biggest mistake, because what did I say earlier? In the information age, data and information have the lowest value, the knowledge and the wisdom. What we have to do is that we have to first tenderize the home seller before we get to what they may think is bad news. Because do you think, generally speaking, home sellers love the data, or do you think it creates anxiety? When it creates anxiety, they hate you because you become the bearer of bad news. So if you're going to be a prodigious lister in exponential increase, even if you're number one in the company, you never want to lose a listing because of the way you present price. See, this has nothing to do with your price that you recommend. It has to do, see, you can say anything based on tone and timing. My mother used to say that. Everything is tone or timing. And I found out when I was very, very young how important words are. I'll never forget when I was 8 years of age, overhearing my father say to my mother, hey, honey, what time did I fall asleep last night? And my mother said, you didn't fall asleep, but you passed out about midnight, okay? And he went crazy because of the difference between falling asleep. I once was walking down Commonwealth Avenue when I was in college with my two best friends. And one of my friends, Tommy, said to my other friend, Johnny, he said, hey, Johnny rather to Tommy, Johnny said, hey, Tommy, it looks like you put on a few pounds there. And Tommy said, I did put on a few pounds. In fact, I've been meaning to tell you, I think your parents are a couple of pigs. I had to break them up, and I said, Johnny, what happened? He says, hey, if he wants to start an insulting contest, let's get it on, okay? So sometimes people don't realize that they're killing people with their comments. I've had people come up to me, I don't do many seminars, but I've had people come up to me after a seminar and they'll say this is the most they can say. Oh, I like some of what you said, okay? I had somebody a few years ago say, well, let me ask you this question. You're relatively intelligent, okay? People don't realize what they're saying. Now, sometimes you've got to be blunt and direct with people. For example, my sister Kathy, she was engaged to this football player. He was a 3-time All-American football player at Notre Dame. His name is Ken McAfee. He was 3rd in the Heisman. Never been married. My sister hadn't been married. He proposed to my sister. He's now a surgeon. He was a surgeon at the time. And I says, Kathy, congratulations. When's the wedding? She says, Alan, I don't know if I'm going to marry him. I says, why not? Because he thinks he's better than me. I says, Kathy, he is. Okay? He's better than our whole family put together. You're supposed to marry up. I did. Come on, get with the program, okay? Now, so the point is this. So we've got to be very, very careful, okay, with the language, especially in something as incendiary as pricing. So when you start off pricing or marketing and you start with the pricing, here's the way I recommend that you introduce pricing moving forward. I want you to be more excited to talk about price than anything you've ever spoken about in your real estate career. I want you to be so confident, so relaxed, that everybody wants to do business with you because of the cut of your jib in terms of your ability to explore with them the most sensitive subjects. So here's how we do it. We provide our clients with 3 distinct pricing strategies. Strategy number 1, some of our clients want to price their property based on the CMA or the appraisal. It's the data approach. And they want to do that because they feel that will give their property a greater likelihood of appraising out. They figure that buyers and realtors have become more sensitive to value, or they may have some time pressure and they want to move on with their life. So that's strategy number 1. You got that? As opposed to this column, that column. Okay, great, because I'm knowledge-based now. I'm not data-based. You got that? Okay, great. The second strategy that some of our clients select what we refer to as the less is more pricing strategy. They actually want to put their property in the market at lower than the data supports, because they either want to create competition and sometimes even a bidding war, or because they're not just moving for economic reasons, they're moving for lifestyle reasons because they want to get to the shore to be closer to the grandkids. So that's strategy number 2. You got that, folks? Okay, great. Strategy number 3 is some of our clients, they want to basically price their property in what we refer to as the retail strategy. Just like some retailers will artificially increase the price so they can negotiate off of that, a lot of our home seller clients believe that buyers are going to want to negotiate. So these 3 strategies, philosophically, what seems to be the most comfortable with you? Now, you still haven't got to the data, but you haven't lost the listing because you haven't offended people. You haven't traumatized people. You haven't said, let's take a look at some similar properties. You haven't offended with them, with that language, with that rhetoric. And you haven't come across as though you're an advocate for your research. You're basically, because you're with Real Living, because we're the leader in customized real estate, that means that we must also provide customized pricing. So we have a customized pricing system at Real Living that we sit down with every single home seller because we've made a science out of pricing properties, okay? So that's the pricing.